Hey guys, it's Melissa and we're doing my top 5 favorite fragrances for June 2024. And as always, I'll put the discount links and any discount codes that I have for these fragrances linked and pinned in the comment section below in case you want to support the channel. But of course, always buy where you feel the most comfortable. Now, June has been a very interesting month because I wasn't really using a lot of fragrances, and I'll get into that later, but there's only 2 fragrances on this, and I know I'm going to write top 5 in the title, but that's just to stay consistent with this series. But let me just tell you, okay? So the one I used second most is Escandalo by Day 3. Now this fragrance is... oh, it's still so good, dude. It's a guava fragrance, very strong guava with some floral notes in it. Now, it's marketed as a unisex fragrance. I do think that it skews a little bit more on the feminine side, but nonetheless, if you're someone that's into niche perfumery, I see you having no problem with this fragrance, regardless of what your gender is. I feel like a lot of people that are into niche fragrances could care less about the labeling because all they're after is really the smell. So this is the type of fragrance that would be really appreciated just by the general public, but also a lot of people into fragrances, a lot of the connoisseurs, I see this being a fragrance that they rave about as well. Now, the performance here does go over 8 hours. This isn't extrait de parfum, by the way, even though on my bottle in particular, it says EDP. And that's something that Day 3 told me about because this is like the first official bottle of the fragrance, but there was an error with the labeling. So if you do end up getting this scent, don't worry, it's an extrait. But as always, sample first, okay? Because sampling is the key with these fragrances, and make sure that you spray more of the sample than you expect to, because you're not gonna get that much juice. And from what I've experienced, whenever I've tried samples, they never really hit the same as the full-size bottles, and that's just because there's not enough fragrance distribution, so you have to spray more of it. But Escandalo is strong. It's a strong fragrance. Out of all of the Day 3 scents I've tried so far, y'all know how much I love Bonnie, but I do like this one more than Bonnie, just by a smidge, just because it is more wearable for warmer weather. And I'm not saying though that this is a summertime fragrance. I think it's still gonna go as a summer nights scent or a summer evening scent. But when you compare this and Bonnie, I think this one is more wearable year round. Again, everyone's opinion is going to be very different about that. But it's just a nice fragrance, truly. I mean, I've raved about it so much already that I said what needed to be said, okay? So I don't find Escandalo to be like an outright sexy fragrance, but it is something that just smells so luxurious and simple at the same time. It smells like natural guava, right? But the way that it's blended with the florals in this fragrance, it's one of those things that, you know how I tell y'all that I love simple fragrances, right? But you could just tell that it's high quality. And to me, I found that I really enjoy fragrances like that. I don't need too much complexity going on, but if you got some high quality ingredients in here, and with this fragrance in particular, they use a lot of naturals. So if you're somebody that loves naturals, then this is definitely gonna be the fragrance for you if you like the fruitier scent profiles. So keep this one in your mind. If I had to give a top 3 from Day 3, I would go Escandalo, Bonnie, and Philosophia. Shout out to the cigar fragrance. Okay, so I'm gonna put this one down. And the number 1 is Blue Agave by Precious Liquid. This fragrance, I remember saying in a previous video that you should watch where the juice is for this fragrance, because by the end of the summer, I think it's gonna make a significant dent. But because, again, I'll probably say this after I wrap it up with talking about this fragrance, but I just haven't really been using fragrances lately. So Blue Agave, summertime banger. It's the perfect time to use this fragrance right now. And I love it because a lot of fresh summertime fragrances truly lack with performance. It's something that it's not a shocker when you buy a freshie and it only is noticeable for about 3 to 5 hours, right? That's common, that's standard. But with Blue Agave, it's something that will push past 10 hours. So for all of you that are always complaining about performance and you want a freshie that's gonna have that longevity, you will get that with Blue Agave. So what does it smell like? It smells like agave. It smells like agave, then it smells like a little bit of lime and some salt And like I said, just kind of like a tequila shot, really. And not in a way where you're gonna get repulsed by it. And I know when people hear tequila, it's like, oh, so it's like a super boozy fragrance. Whenever I think boozy, I think more along the lines of the rum kind of, smell fragrances, something like Jazz Club, right? Versus Blue Agave, which to me still smells more like something you would smell on somebody on the beach, right? But again, if you consider that boozy, you can. But it's just very easy to love, super easy to wear, just a no-brainer scent. It's the type of fragrance you have in your collection. You're like, damn, what am I going to wear today? And every single day of the year you can throw on Blue Agave. Now, this is marketed as a unisex fragrance, but opposite to Escandalo, I think that this one goes a little bit more on the masculine side. So if that's your preference, then I would recommend sampling this fragrance and checking it out and see what it's about. So the Blue Agave, though, there's two bottles of it. There's two versions of it. The one I have in my hands is the 75 ml, and then there's a 50 ml. So the 75, because this is always a confusing thing for a lot of people, the 75 ml is the fragrance concentration that's doubled. So that's why the performance here beats out the original 50 ml. But again, the OG 50 ml, even though it is noticeable for about 6 to 7 hours, still really good for a freshie. It's the price for the 50 ml is better. It's like $130 something, $140, whereas this is $275. So it's totally up to you, whatever your pockets are the most comfortable with. But as always, like I say, you got to sample first. Sample both of them if you want to, and then make that decision. Okay, now, like I said in the beginning of this video, I just feel like this month I really could care less about fragrances. Between these two scents, I've probably worn them like a total of 3 or 4 times, not each, like put together. And that's because I have been around some people that have fragrance sensitivities and fragrance allergies, and that's just me being considerate with it. But I feel like taking some time away from fragrances, I've just really loved smelling clean, and not having to kind of throw anything on extra. And I still like fragrances and stuff, but this isn't something where I'm like, oh, I want to keep smelling all of these different things. I think I've said this for a while now that I have my favorites, and sure, there's going to be some things that if they can beat out my favorites, you hear me raving about them nonstop. But for the most part, I'm not the type of person that when I smell new scents, I fall in love with a majority of them, and then I'm pushing them to you guys like, oh, these are the best fragrances. This is blah, 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 blah. So just keeping it real with you, there hasn't really been a lot of new things besides Escandalo that have truly stood out to me and that have been impactful fragrances where I feel like I want to just rave about them with you all. So that really is what it's been about. And I think people kind of go through this when they're in this hobby, in this niche. There's a time where you're really down the rabbit hole and you want to smell so many different things. You want to splurge, you want to do that. And every person lasts a different amount of time than the next with it, right? There's some people that have been doing this nonstop for years and years and years, and they love it. But I just feel like the ones in my rotation right now have been consistent, and to me they have been unbeatable. But more so, I just haven't been. I don't really wear a fragrance of the day, at least with this month. Like I said, really enjoying just the clean vibe, like making sure you shower, you're nice and clean, you go about your day, and it's cool. And the other thing that's been interesting is I feel like there's kind of been, and maybe I'll make a separate video about this, there's kind of been an opposite effect happening with fragrances, at least in the real world, okay? I'm not talking about online because the spaces are very, very different. But I think there is some contribution that has to do with the internet, because I know with Reddit, with YouTube, with Instagram, with TikTok, fragrance content has been very, very popular. It's been at an all-time high, truly, right? So there's been so many people of different age ranges using a lot more fragrance now. And the thing that I've noticed, and this is my personal experience as of lately, is that more people are getting put off when people wear fragrances And it's not because these things necessarily smell bad, but it's because a lot of people wearing these scents, they're buying them because there's so much hype online, but they don't know how to apply them properly. And they're coming across almost socially, what's the word for it? It's just like unaware. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh man, they're saying that this is like the best fragrance, so they're dousing themselves in these fragrances. And a lot of people now, when they smell perfume, they're like, oh my god, like it's getting to be overwhelming, right? So that's been something I've been seeing happening more often than not. Now, of course, not everybody wears fragrances, because I know someone's gonna take what I said out of context and, you know, basically say, well, I'm gonna wear whatever I want because it's mine. I get it, okay? I've had enough videos on here just telling y'all that being considerate is kind of just like normal, like decency, baseline decency. But of course, there are people that are kind of slow, so they don't understand that, and they're just like, well, no, I cannot. You can keep your free will. It's like no one's gonna take that away from you with your fragrances. But that's been interesting to me. I do think that, like I said, it's been applying to all age ranges. And I remember talking to a worker in Sephora, and she was saying that, yeah, a lot more middle school boys have been coming in and trying to wear the fragrances and trying to steal the fragrances and stuff like that, like Dior Sauvage and YEDP and all this sort of stuff. So they've been a lot more on lock when it comes to male fragrances, to be honest. That's what she was telling me. And I get it, you know, I guess like with TikTok and stuff, a lot more younger boys are really wanting to smell good because, you know, they're being told, oh yeah, like girls really like this, and they're trying to impress their crushes and stuff like that. But for the people around them, they're like, okay, dang, that person, they're throwing on way too much scent. So for me, I'm at a happy median right now of, I'm actually like, even though I didn't really wear fragrances this month, I'm cool with it. I'm not like, oh dang, I didn't get to wear my favorite scent, I gotta spray my fragrance. But, and let me know, by the way, if you've had a similar experience to this, because sometimes, you know, you ride that wave. There's going to be times where you don't really want to wear anything. There's going to be times that you're like, damn, I just rediscovered this scent in my collection that's been collecting dust, and now I'm wearing it nonstop for 2 months, right? So give me all those details in the comment section below. Y'all know I love conversing with you. And as always, like I said, if you want to check out these fragrances, sample them first. But I'll leave a discount code for the both of them if in the future you want to get, you know, a full-size bottle, you end up liking them, and then you can get some, you know, dollars off your order. And just complete transparency, that is an affiliate code, which is why I tell y'all, buy where you're comfortable. Okay, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.